if you actually still want to make a lot of money, now's actually the better time. There's more upside and less risk in Chilean today than there was when they made the investment, in September for 10 cents. Because we've made these two transactions now that give us a ton of value. And that will ultimately, at the end, allow, I think, over time, I think you're going to be able to convince people that this is something that's worth, in my mind, it's worth north of $1.
All right, welcome and thanks for tuning in. I'm sitting down with Terry Lynch today, CEO of Chilean Metals. Terry, great to have you back on the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and great to be back on FTMIG. Always love chatting with you guys.
Right on. And Terry, last time we had you on, it would have been about a year ago, not quite, PDAC 2020. You were in the middle of raising some cash, I think at 5 cents. A lot has happened since then. So I think a good place to start would be, give us an overview of the company. For anyone that's never heard of Chilean Metals, what are you in the business of doing? What are your key assets?
Yeah, so basically we ended up raising capital at about, we did a unit deal at 10 cents with a half warrant at 15. And generally speaking, what we said to the investors, and my partner and I and our families took about 40% of the round. So we led with our own belief. We said, look, we at the time we had two great exploration opportunities in Chile, and we were close to doing a deal on an exploration play in BC in the Golden Triangle that wasn't contracted, but we sort of verbally felt that was there. And we said, look, we got these three great exploration plays, and each of these plays has are big. Like the Chilean plays are several thousand hectares. Like, think of it the size of the city of Toronto you're exploring. So when you're testing plays like that, you might have 5 or 6 different drill sites on that test. Each one is completely independent of the other. So they're almost like 6 different locations, really. So when you're in exploration, what you're trying to do, your mission in life is pure. You want to find a resource. Okay, because you only make money in this business when you find a resource, and then ultimately you need to expand the resource, show how robust the resource economics are. And if you're a explorer like we are, we're not a developer. Your mission is to sell this proven mine up to a developer, and that's when your shareholders cash out. So that's every junior mining company, exploration company's dream, is to do that. And we obviously get risk capital, and we take the best scientific advice we can find, and then we try and find this holy grail called a resource. And so with Chile, we're basically we have 3. When we raised the funds in September, we had 3 targets, and 2 in Chile and 1 we hope to close in BC. And then we got that closed, and we immediately put our plan in place for drilling TDO, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second, because the results will be out. In fact, they'll be out next week. And while that was ongoing, we were able to close our transaction on Golden Ivan in the Golden Triangle, and we'll speak about that, I guess, in a little bit as well. So that was a really great transaction for us. And then we came across, an opportunity through our, a network. The mining business is a network business. So we had some friends, and they had a really great project that was sitting in a really great company called Critical Elements, that I think you guys have probably interviewed them over the course of time. They're a really great lithium play, and we discovered that they had this really phenomenal nickel play. Nickel is sort of, I would call it a battery metal play, because it's nickel, copper, cobalt, and palladium, and it's in James Bay, and it's like right off the road, and it already had a resource. So it's like, we looked at it and we thought, holy cow! I mean, this thing is is it really a mine ready to happen? It had 3 million tons of. It's a historical resource, but we believe that it was only 2007 or something. I guess it was not that old. So it certainly we feel that we can the expand this, and that at 10 million tons, that probably is a mine. So that is a huge game changer. So we did that transaction. We announced it in December, like 22nd or 21st, something like that. And it's called the Nisk play, and it's really changed the whole game here at Chilean, because that is the resource. So, our job one was to find a resource and then let's prove it into a mine. So certainly, we're going to, obviously, we've drilled our exploration play in Chile, and we'll get the results and get those out. But the game will very much become, let's, drill up this resource at the Nisk deposit in James Bay and prove that that is going to be a mine, and that will become, the major value proposition, we think, for the company. So that's sort of a summary of where we're at. And happy to sort of walk you through it on a sort of, I know you guys like to get into it more of a deeper dive, so people can understand what the components are, and happy to walk you through it as we go.
Okay, so three key properties then, one in Chile, one in BC, and then you think possibly the crown jewel in Quebec near James Bay.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. All right. So let's, like you mentioned that you've already started to drill Chile. You have assays coming, new
yep.
soon. So I think it makes sense to start there. So let's
sure.
bring that slide up.
Okay.
Walk us through, what is it you're looking for here on this?
Sure. So basically, in Chile, it's Chile's very long and narrow country. So and their provinces there are called regions. So this is in Region 3 in Chile, and Region 3 is one of the more prolific mining regions in the country. Has a the mining town there is called Copiapó. And if you remember when the Chilean mine disaster was, that was, headlines around the world, that was basically just outside of Copiapó. So that gives you a perspective of where you're at. It's about an hour flight from Santiago. And it's about half hour, 45 minutes from the coast. So in Chile, you basically have like three levels. You have the coast, which is like obviously sea level, and then you go up about 1,000 meters to like the plateaus, and then we're in that area. That's where the Atacama Desert is, where we're located. And then you go up to the Andes, which is, when we were we had a mine up there, or a resource property that we sold to Teck that was at 3,000 and 3,500 meters, 4,000 meters. So it's very high up there. So that's the nature of the country. So in Region 3, we have two tracts of land. I would say TDO, which is down on the screen on the bottom right, and then up on the top left is the Zulema and Palo Negro, which are effectively very close to Candelaria. So we were the first stage of exploration. TDO had a lot of work over the years, not any done by me when I was managing Chilean, but historically they had spent about $5 million US on it in the ground, and had generated a lot of information. And we consolidated the information and did some AI over it, and brought in the Windfall Geotek to do the AI for us, and they generated some targets. And there's really sort of two phases of targets. So you've got it up on the screen now, and what we drilled in the first phase of TDO is we drilled Chenchero, which is sort of in the screen is sort of just sort of top right, and then one of the deposits just a little bit to the left of that. So that was what we call TDO phase 1. So we've drilled TDO phase 1 now, and we've in fact just got the last assays in today. So we'll be working on the press release over the weekend. Markets are closed. We expect to get it out early Monday, and I would say that it is like a lot of exploration drilling. We didn't make the discovery, unfortunately, that we want. Had some more clues, but not the sauce. So and this is exploration. This is why you need to have sequences of these things stacked, and as you execute through them. So that's just the life in junior mine. We actually had, there was a very interesting silver kicker, but in our view, is something just more to understand. But generally speaking, I would say it's not crushing success. What's next for Chilean? So for TDO, we'll need to spend some time evaluating the results and correlate them to the AI and sort of synchronize things, and we'll do that over the next quarter. I think as a result of the Nisk acquisition. And the fact that we have a resource there, that our priorities change, because at the end of the day, we're not doing this, for fun. We're doing it to make money for our shareholders. So you make money for shareholders by finding a resource and growing the resource, and then ultimately selling the resource. So exploration is incredibly risky, and most often doesn't work. That you've been around the mining game. That's just the nature of exploration. But when it does work, you get 10 and 20 and 100 times your money, and that's the romance of the mining business. It's why we get investors and why people stay at the game. So for Chilean, now I think if you maybe go to now I got to figure out how to navigate this one slide navigator, and I'm gonna take you to the Nisk property.
Okay.
So the project we acquired in James Bay, we acquired from Critical Elements, and they obviously have the very promising Rose deposit, the lithium play that I think will become Canada's next lithium mine. And so they were getting no love for this nickel deposit because it wasn't part of their story. So they recognized it, that in order to create value for their shareholders, that it would be far better for them to move it out into a separate entity that they had a significant stake in, and that would be the entity that could raise the capital to make this into a mine, and not confuse people with a lithium play and a nickel play. That sort of concept. So that's why they did the trade, and they did the trade with us because they felt comfortable with the management team that we would execute on it and follow up on it. That there's a personal relationship there, and they knew that the other assets within Chilean were also very undervalued. So they got basically 20% of our company for swapping this in, and we have to spend the money and earn up to an 80% interest. So at the end of the day, it's like when I say to people, why you should invest in Chilean now is, well, you should invest in Chilean because people, you're probably not going to buy 12 million shares, Mr. Investor, with due respect. Most guys, maybe you're going to buy 100,000 shares, or you're going to buy 500,000 shares or 50,000 shares, something like that. These people basically bought 12 million shares. The Golden Ivan ultimately bought 11 million shares. So these guys had other options to sell these things. They could have gotten more upfront cash and more upfront face value for selling their assets. And the reason why they chose to come in Chilean was they saw the Chilean share structure. They could get a bigger piece of the pie, and they could then have Chilean share price ultimately lead to a greater value for them down the road. So they're betting a lot more money than any individual investor will be betting. And that's not a tradable position. You look at our daily volume, you don't get it at 12 million shares. This is not Apple. So you got to believe that ultimately you can take this project and make it into something mineable that's sellable, and that's how you're going to get out. Okay. So we've had some recent profit taking in our stock because people, they invested at 10 cents and the stock's now free trading. So all that is all out. And, people have some people have exercised and sold some stock, made some money, and I guess they're on to their next opportunity. And our message to our shareholders is, hey, God bless. If you need the money, that's why you invest, and, free to do that. But if you actually still want to make a lot of money, now's actually the better time. There's more upside and less risk in Chilean today than there was when they made the investment, in September for 10 cents. Because we've made these two transactions now that give us a ton of value, and that will ultimately, at the end, allow. I think over time, I'm going to be able to convince people that this is something that's worth, in my mind, it's worth north of $1. And I can walk you through where I'm getting this. Is that and at those levels, we're going to be able to get exploration capital that we can, take the shots in Chile and other places, that maybe you have that one that takes you to $10 or whatever, which is everyone's dream. But I think the key thing is if you look at, I'm going to go up one slide here to this slide. When we were doing our due diligence on Nisk, one of the things we did is that we looked at, okay, what are the other nickel battery projects like out there, and which ones have resources, and what do they look like? And just as a good rule of thumb, what we did is we said, okay, what is the value per meter drilled of the resource in the ground? Okay, each of these people have, like Talon has a very fine deposit in Michigan. I think they're over 300 million now. This is an older slide capture, and they so what we did was we said, let's take, and we took two sets of numbers. Talon had produced not a feasibility study, but a PEA, and they had some resource numbers. So we said, okay, let's take Talon's resource numbers. They're the biggest of this group, and apply them across the board and see what is the in situ value of the resource in the ground. Doesn't mean it's going to be produced. I'm not promising that. I'm just saying it's just a metric of how to measure these things. And what we found is, generally speaking, they had found in value in the ground of about $42,000 per meter drilled. Okay. And then we looked at a company called Palladium One, which is another nice deposit, and they had drilled like about 38,000 meters. They're on the Talon Metals pricing scheme, there was about 44,000, value, in situ value, a meter drilled on the Talon pricing, and then on spot was about almost 70. So that's very good. And then we looked at the Nisk deposit, basically Chilean, and it was 85,000 and 95,000. They only drilled 13,000 meters. So what that meant to us is this is very prospective. And there's a good chance that if we do another 13,000 meters worth of drilling, or 20,000 meters worth of drilling up there, we're going to create. We're going to find more value in the ground. We're going to expand that resource and push this towards being a mine. So that made it exciting for us. So when I look at this and I sort of say, "Holy cow!" Our market cap is like 14 million, and look at these numbers. Should we be 14 million and play in 43? I don't know. In my mind, there's a value gap there, and it's because nobody knows about us because we've been quiet for so long, and that's part of the reason why we're getting on shows like yours, to try and help people understand, hey, there's a new story here, and this is there's a great way to sort of have a win, and we've got a fairly methodical way to go at it. And one of the neat things about James Bay is it's eligible for super flow through. So we've had a lot of interest. Like, I've been contacted by many of the flow through funds that know that we're going to need to raise exploration dollars, and they say, hey, pick us. We want to be in. So I don't think we're going to have we're going to, obviously the steps are get the assays out for Chile, and then get the this acquisition is subject to TSX-V approval, which we're hoping maybe next week. It shouldn't be anything too crazy there. We got the approval for Golden Ivan in early January and closed that, and then it's just, we issued the stock, so it's not a problem. We've got the cash and stock to close the deal, and then then all of a sudden, then the story will be complete, and then I think the stock sort of gets revalued in some way, shape, or form based upon this potential nickel play and what happens there. And then we'll do the flow through financing, and then we'll get on with executing the job of proving those resources up and moving this closer to being a mineable resource. So that's sort of
nickel sulfide.
Pardon?
Is this a nickel sulfide deposit?
Yes.
Sulfide
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened on the property since 2008? Like the resource, you said it was done about 2008. It idle since then?
You know what? It went to it went inside a gold company whose name I'm spacing on right now, and they poked a couple of holes down, and at the same time, they were poking some gold holes down at another project, and it was Monarch Gold or Monarch Resources, and then they had a major discovery on the gold, and ended up chasing that, and so it's one of these, like, this is not, it's not going to be a $5 billion deposit. Okay. Can we get to $1 billion? Well, if a number of things happen, yes. Okay. But most likely it's probably going to be a $2 or $3 or $100 million mine, in terms of a sale thing, under ordinary circumstances, if things work out. That's reality. Okay. So I think, where it was before, it was initially in Nemaska, the lithium play, and they obviously had their other deposit, and then it went through Monarch, and then the critical elements guys, I think, swapped some gold properties to Monarch because this was closer to their James Bay package, and they should be more efficient to execute on it, and they had it. And then, of course, critical found Rose and became preoccupied with that, and it's one of those things. And that you see that all the time in mining, where there's a great sort of underappreciated resource or potential deposit that just sits dormant because somebody's dealing with something that's hotter, and they've only got so much management time, and it's hard in a small company to communicate two different stories. So I think that's all that's happened here, and so we were just super lucky to be able to get a chance to take this play and execute on it, and I think create some value for our shareholders. And so that's sort of the plan.
So I wanted to, you do have a slide on the geophysics here.
Yeah.
It looks like this is mag survey. Are you planning any other geophysics?
Yeah. So the first thing we're doing really is we're already starting to model this whole thing, take all the data, and we're going to model it, and we're going to do some downhole EM. Okay. Because and we think that'll be really helpful in helping us identify where this can go. And you can see, like, the area of the resource is very small, and there's a lot of area to sort of check out on. So we're quite excited about that. Now the deposit, the way it works, it's almost like there's like a 20-meter level of material that looks the same. Okay, but within that 20-meter level of I almost in my mind, I see it as almost like think of having 20 meters of sludge. Okay, that's down there like in a river, and it all looks the same. But within that 20 meters, there's only about 5 to 12 meters. That's the pay zone. Okay, and that's just the way these deposits work. And so it's about finding those pay zones in this river as it's folded through time. And so the downhole EM is actually very effective, discovery tool for stuff like this. So it hasn't been done here, and we're going to do that. And I think that'll be a great advancement in terms of, so we're going to model it up first, get the downhole EM to help us identify where we think this thing is going. And then we'll be doing step out drilling. So we're going to go from meat and target rich sort of zone to adjacent zone that we think the EM is saying this is where it's at. So that's what and that's the least risky form of drilling you can do. Still drilling, so there's still risk, but generally speaking, that's a good way to approach it. So that's what we'll be doing.
Okay, and that is this an open pit style deposit, or how deep is the mineralization here?
Yeah, no, it would be in this case it would be open. Yeah, it's not that deep.
So how deep? Like, when does the mineral? How far down do you actually?
You know what? I think it ranges, but from I think as 35 to 50 meters it starts. Okay. So and then it can, and that's one of the things we got to test. This is where, because they did only shallow drilling. So one of the things we'll definitely be testing is this a stack system? So is there, so should we throw some deep stuff down there to see, hey, maybe, because sometimes in these deposits, They are stacked. So it's like, that'd be one of the, we're not counting on it because that's a 1 or a 0. It's either stacked or it's not stacked. But it's something that, hey, if it is stacked, well, that's a whole new game. So that'll be one of the things we will definitely test at some point in this, evolution is to do that.
So, okay. So what does your exploration program look like? You're going to do the downhole EM. When would that start? And then when do you expect?
So first up, we're modeling it. And the good thing is, luckily, because of our partnership with our now biggest shareholder, or soon to be shortly biggest shareholder, Critical Elements, there's sort of a joint effort here on the exploration. So Critical will, they're already based up this way, so they'll execute the drill program for us. So we've got our geo and their geo working together on the program, and then basically, I would think we'd probably get drills turning in there in I'm thinking like late March, and yeah.
So it's not muddy ground. You could get in there in the spring.
At that time, it's up there. It's still good. I think we probably have a window from late March to late April before breakup starts to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Because we're quite a bit ways north here. That's right. Okay, right. Okay. So March for the drilling, geophysics ahead of time, obviously, or.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we'll want to get the downhole EM going, and the modeling and the downhole EM will probably be the major things, and then based on that, then identify a drill program that I would say probably 75-80% of it's going to be development drilling. And then we'll, there'll be a little bit of, because again, we're trying to be efficient with shareholder money, in that what we want to, we know if we go out and grow the resource, the market will reward us, because they obviously then want to see it become a mine. So if the market rewards us, then the share price goes up, then, we can, take more exploration drilling and try a bit more of the risky stuff. So if you try too much of the risky stuff down early, you don't get to proving up the resource that they want to see. So you sort of have to, maybe 75% of your effort, 80% is going to be on growing the resource, 20% is going to be on, hey, is it a stacked system? What does it look like over there that's never been tested, but it looks like all the parameters are the same? That type of stuff where it's a pure exploration drill. But we'll definitely do some of that. And ultimately, we there's a fairly interesting section of ground to explore there, this is where, if you get lucky, you get a stack system, or you get multiple deposits. That's how it sort of works in these deposits. They're smaller, but they're close proximity. And there's all sorts of plants like this around the world where they build a plant and it's harvests, these mini pits, and that's probably what would happen up here.
Okay. And, you mentioned the super flow through earlier, Terry, as probably the way to fund this. Do you have any figure in mind on what kind of budget you'd like to put in?
Yeah. So we're thinking, probably, it's all share price dependent. We think we're going to get the news out here, and we think we get a rebound when we close this thing. The stock should trade, further north to where somewhere in between, Palladium 1 and Talon in terms of values. And then basically, we would look to probably do I would say a $4 or $5 million flow through round. And, the neat thing about that is that, if the stock's at, 30 cents or so, you can do a 50-cent flow through, so that would be powerful, and that would be great for the company because less dilution, and would give us the capital to effectively, I think, push this thing a long ways in terms of the resource. And it would also, if we raised $5 million, which would be, let's say it's a target number, probably 4 of it would be spent on Nisk, and 1 of it would be spent on Golden Ivan, the project in BC, and that would be probably the breakdown, because that would probably be what we could execute on with Nisk over the sort of the spring and then maybe a summer campaign there, and then we'd look for a late summer program in BC.
Okay. How's the infrastructure in this area?
It's surprisingly very good. I mean, I guess there's literally a serious James Bay power station just literally off the road, but miles away from our place. So it's paved highway. You're literally off the road. There's an airport about 15 or 20 miles away. There's reasonably good infrastructure. Power is no problem. At the exploration stage, not a problem. I mean, ultimately, when you go to making something a mine, there's going to be the usual challenges, in terms of. But you're very close to Moosonee, right? Like you're just down the road. I mean, you're probably like, I don't know, maybe. I'm guessing it's less than 100 clicks, more like 60 clicks away. So there, you're going to have, it's a fairly major, that's where the railway starts, and the Northern Railway. I think that's a good spot, and very, very developable. There's no problem here. I mean, Rose, the lithium mine, is just down the road. It's being developed. Damascus is just down the road being developed. So there's a lot of development going on up there, and there's great relationships with the Cree. They're the principal original landowners, and I haven't had the opportunity to meet with them yet, but obviously we'll do that as soon as we get the thing closed. But I know Critical has a great relationship with them, and they're very great people to work with, and we're looking forward to working with them and creating value for them and their community, and hopefully create some jobs and some royalty streams that can be helpful.
Yeah, so there's First Nations owned businesses in the area that help to service like exploration. Yeah.
I think I think Quebec has done a really good job with their First Nations relationships, and they've really helped them, from what I understand, to develop their own infrastructures and companies, and like the airlines and the various mechanisms. So I think this has been going on for some time now, and these guys are just able to provide good services, and it's just like just happens to be native owned, but it's actually a great company, and that's good too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well let's move on to BC then. This was your second acquisition.
Yeah,
I believe this just closed.
Yes, we closed it in early January. With that one, what was interesting is because we it didn't have a 43-101, so there is a 43-101 on Nisk. So we had to prepare a 43-101. The exchange had us do that. So it took us about, 6 weeks or 2 months or something like that to do the 43-101, which is great, and we did it. And so what we have really is, this is a very interesting piece of ground. It's smack dab in the middle between Strike Point in the south and Scotty Resources in the north. And Ascot is just a little bit to the east of us. And when we made the deal, obviously there was no game plan at that point for Ascot to be a mine. Now it's been funded to become a mine. And as you know, in the resource business, is that they say you find your next mine in the A-frame of where the other mine is. So that's just a good euphemism for resources don't know property lines. If there's a resource, there, it's likely there's more resource around. So because flows have happened, and so we're pretty pumped. We think that this is one of the it's never been drilled. Had some very interesting sampling opportunities up there. Some great sampling results that had been done, and they did some geophysics. Geophysics looks like porphyry material to us, and it's certainly it's going to be like a silver, gold, copper combination up there. Strike point literally is their drill holes and whatnot are literally on the edge of the border. So I mean, there's definitely success that they're having is we expect it's going to flow through over to our side. And I think that's one of the interesting things about the project is that there's a lot of ways to extract value here. I think at the end of the day, obviously we're going to go and test these porphyries out and see what we've got, and hopefully we've got the Holy Grail up there. But there's going to be value in any event because there's definitely extensions going on there from the other people's work, and there'll be some horse trading there if all else fails. But we're hopeful that we can get in there and do a sort of a exploration program of sampling and testing in the first part of the spring, and then hopefully follow that up with some drilling late August, early September. Takes a bit of time to get permits and whatnot there, and so we're starting on that now, and that would be a nice way for us to cap the year. And so that's one of the things I liked about Chilean was that we had a very action packed drill bit year coming up. We were drilling in Chile, and now we're going to be drilling in Nisk, and now we're going to be drilling in the Golden Triangle, and these are in great areas, right? These are areas where there's, like in Chile, where our neighbors are 500 million tons of copper gold. So these are in monster territory, and we certainly feel that way in James Bay. We certainly feel that way with the Golden Island. So we're in really great exploration ground. We've been fortunate, I think, to get the Nisk deposit and its potential, and now we think we can ramp it up, get the market to understand the change in Chilean, and hopefully translate that into some appreciation. And then we hope we'll be able to raise the capital through the flow through, and then we'll get out and execute on it. And I think it'll be a really banner 2021 for us. So we're excited for the first time in years. It's been a long time, that I've been involved, that I've been excited for Chilean. It's been sort of a burden. Like I say to people, it's probably not been my best investment. It's been one of my worst. But my friend and I, got into this sort of together, and we've been, we sort of had to go do some proxy battles, and it was like a messy deal. And we stuck with it because we thought Chile had great assets, and we always felt there at some point would be a mining market. And I think finally, one of the things I like to, and do I have that here? I want to see one thing. I guess don't. Yeah, maybe that's it there.
Looking for this one.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, you're very wise. I'm a big believer as an investor. If you want to, I'm a contrarian, but I'm also I love it when the tide's coming in, because a good tide will raise all boats, even leaky ones. And I feel like in the mining sector, in the commodity sector, that's about to turn. So you can see in these charts, which is just basically showing you, that the commodity sector is radically off its high, yet it's starting to turn. And then the when it rips back, the rips are savage. So another chart I look at is I overlay the S&P over the TSX-V, and right now, so that's what that is there. So it's about 0.2, and in a peak it's 2.6. So it shows that, relatively speaking, likely there's going to be a move back into mining securities that will, generally speaking, push this thing up like tenfold across the board. So, I think that hasn't happened yet. I think that we're starting to see some early signs, just by the fact that Chilean was able to get some investors in September and stocks up and whatever. We're starting that's happened to not just Chilean but many junior mining companies. I've gotten institutional investors that invested and never returned a call for 6 years. So the mining investors are starting to wake up, and people are going to start to realize that the overall market's pretty frothy, and in a helicopter money economy where people are going to be continuing to print more money, inflation is going to happen, and it's happening right now in commodity prices. You can see it in nickel, you can see it in copper, you see it in lithium. It's happening in precious metals. So you want to be in those with that exposure. So I think there's a massive backdrop for mining investors, and I think when people say, how do you approach things? I said, I think you have to have a basket, of these, and then as the basket, and this is what Eric Sprott does so well. He invests on so many deals, and he says the first ones you never know. He says I've invested with the greatest geologists of all time, and guys who I thought were sort of full on promoters. He said, but I thought the ground was okay, and he said, there's no correlation to where discoveries are made. Discoveries are made when discoveries are made by the drill bit. He said, but I tell you what, he says, I do know when I see a discovery. And he said, that's when I load up, because that's when I see a discovery that I think is going to become a mine, and then I press the bet. And it's good education. And I think that's why, with Nisk, where we've got a resource, it's like, hey, that's a pretty good start to resource. This next round of drilling should be really exciting. And if that confirms this and it grows it, then you can press the bet, because that, hey, that's going to become a mine. And then eventually, there's no question that we'll be able to turn that, find a developer that wants to make that into a mine, because it'll be productive and make a bunch of money for them as well. So these deposits tend to generate very high IRRs. So, so I think it's an exciting time to be talking about mining equities. It's a good time to be looking, if you're an investor, at having a basket of juniors that are focused on delivering value, and I think buying the cheap ones that have actionable plans to get uncheap is the way to go. And I would say right now we're one of the cheap ones, but that's, you got to start where we're at, and that's where we're at.
So yeah, I very much agree, Terry. I believe commodities are going to be hot and they have been hot, and they will just continue to get hotter. There's lots of money. The money supply is growing incredibly fast. Faster than I think it's ever grown in history, even through the the world wars. And you can't print nickel, you can't print copper, lithium, all these commodities, lumber, soybeans, they're all, they've all been strong. So
yeah.
I just wanted to circle back to Golden Ivan quickly.
Yeah.
So you're looking for porphyry style mineralization at this one?
Yeah.
I believe so Strike Point Silverado is high grade, I think. I know Ascot's Red Mountain and their Premier Gold project is all high grade. So but what you think?
Yeah, when we looked at the geophysics here, with some fairly accomplished geologists that are experienced in the neighborhood, it's their feeling that this could potentially be a porphyry style deposit. So, you never really know until you poke a hole into this thing, then you see. Well, obviously, we know there's lots of high-grade stuff around because of Strike Point and Scotty's success and Ascot's. So we expect we're going to get that too. But obviously, it'd be, from a tonnage perspective, if you could plunge your way down into a porphyry, then that would be super exciting.
Okay. And are you using the Windfall Geotek guys again, or an AI based?
We've got a good relationship with Windfall, and we like what they do, and we'll continue to work with them going forward on our stuff, because we think it's just another really great tool to help optimize your drilling success. And we'd look to use them in all of our projects.
Okay. And just maybe one last question on this one, Terry. You had mentioned this property had never seen any diamond drilling before, just some more field work, exploration, sort of sampling, but never, you would be the first one.
Never had a drill bit, no.
Okay. So the person that held this, or the group that held this property before, do you know why they were sitting on it?
Yeah, you know what? I think he is one of the larger property landowners up there. He's a Vancouver lawyer. I think he's retired now. Doesn't practice law, but that was his heritage. His dad was a mining guy, and so he grew up in the mining business very much. And he was just waiting for the right opportunity for the right time. And we started talking about it like 2 years ago. And he actually, this guy was a shareholder of CMX. And it's a funny story, an anecdotal story, but I don't know if you're on LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn thing, and I had the premium LinkedIn service, right, where you pay, I don't know, $30 a month or some number, and I thought to myself, what am I doing this for? Is there any value to paying these guys? And I said, okay, I'm going to do a test, because we're raising some money for Chilean. This might have been 3 years ago or something. And so I literally, sent a LinkedIn pitch and a deck with a link or whatever to 10 mining guys on my LinkedIn that I didn't know, but I was sort of knew, but not really. This guy was one of them. and we met over that. He ended up, he invested, and then we became friends, over the course of time. And then he told me about his project in his land package up north, and we started to look around, and I really liked this one because I thought it was, I like the geophysics. It looks exciting, and it was in an area where we know there's mineral flow, because obviously north and south of us there's tons of it. So and it looked to me like, I felt like, I was hopeful that Ascot's market cap was such that I thought it would become a mine, and now it's financed. So it's like now you're getting infrastructure being brought in. So almost like it's like a monopoly game, right, in the mining space. So this becomes a very valuable chip. And now, will it have a porphyry discovery? I mean, that's the dream, but it's certainly a valuable piece, and we're excited to get in there and work it.
Okay. Well, let's pivot to share structure. I brought up your slide. I think actually, as of now, you're probably about 48 million shares, because one of the first tranches for the purchase of Golden Ivan would have gone through. And then, assuming that the Nisk structure closes, you have sort of your committed capital structure. You'd be sitting at 60 million. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's the way I would look at it as an investor is assume it'll be 60 million, because, that's, certainly, nothing we know now would stop us from going ahead and doing that. So the shareholder positions then will be about 20% would be critical elements. The Lynch family and the Stern family would have about 15 to 17% each. Mm-hmm. The gentleman that owns Golden Ivan would have about 10%. Our board has about, I think, about together about 4% or something like that. And then the rest is fairly widely held. In the last round, we had 5 really good brokers come in that put in about 200,000 each as a sort of a test, and obviously they're happy, and they're very knowledgeable mining brokers, not not the Robin Hood guys. these are guys that have been in the we welcome you, Robin Hood guys. By the way, I nothing but respect. This is a great spot to be speculating. But yeah, these are guys that are often the early stage mining guys that have been around the bush and have seen all the tricks, and so right. they tend not to get fooled as much as many. So I think we're glad to get them, because we consider them smart money, and I think they'll be supportive of us as we go forward. So I think we feel like we can raise capital. We got a couple of institutions in, and they're happy, and they're encouraged to invest more, and they like what we did with Nisk, and we went through that with them, and I think they can see the value proposition. So I think we'll be able to raise the capital we need to get the next step executed, and then we're hopeful that the Nisk resource can be ramped up as quickly as we can, and then we're excited about what gold and ivan could mean. So I think it's sort of it's a nice compact story with a lot of upside. Fairly cheap. And a lot of action elements coming over the next year. So it should be a good time to join the fray.
So Terry, of those 60 million shares outstanding, how many? What do you like? Because there's some big positions there in major players, like you said, critical elements and whatnot. What is the actual tradable float? The shares that aren't in all these?
Yeah. So you basically take 60, 12, 16. So you take 16 off the top of that. That would be 44, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then out of the 44, half of that is like I would consider it long term. The Lynch and Stern families, and the board. So probably maybe 20, is sort of the real float, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And would expect guys like Critical Elements to be like they believe sort of in the long term view here? They're not.
I would think that they would participate. Yeah. They they liked the property a lot. They just felt that obviously from a corporate communication plan, they're executing on the Rose Lithium thing. They probably have a second lithium exploration play. It makes sense for them to focus on lithium and be the lithium guys. And it's not that they didn't believe in this; they liked it. That's why they traded for it. So they put some significant assets into getting this. So they just want to see it become monetized, in a way that they can be helpful and get the benefit for it, but not distract from their core lithium story.
Okay, yeah, I'm just always curious because companies like yourself, like Critical Elements, they're you basically by the nature of the business, all you do is burn through cash as you explore, develop, try and bring your property. So there's always that temptation when you own shares in another company to start selling it to raise money for your own. Is there like a lockup agreement at all, or?
No. So there isn't. I think they just raised $15 million, so they're very cashed up.
Okay.
And I think hey, as a heads up, Terry bought more Critical Elements last week. So there's a shameless plug for a mining stock that I like. I think, and it was funny. I called it when we were on the Save Canadian Mining. We were doing some podcasts on that, and at the end we sort of shared and say, okay, what's everyone's favorite pick? Can't pick your own company. Who else do you pick? So I picked Critical at 30. Pardon?
Like it's over $1 now, isn't it?
It's over $1 now. But I think when they get their permits, that it's still only trading at 25% of NAV, and most of these lithium plays are trading above NAV, and that's only phase 1 NAV. Phase 2 NAV doubles it. So I think there's still a 10 bagger in that thing. So I like that deal a lot. So I don't think they're going to be short for cash. Is the point? I mean, they could always sell. That's always possible. But I think that they actually think that. I certainly don't think they're selling until they see the results of this second round. I think they want to this next, and I think that's pretty much everyone, right? So if we get this resource cash, the flow through, and then we go from 3 million tons to 7 million tons or 8 million tons or something like that, and they can see, wow, it's going to become a mine. Then they're going to stay. If for God's reason, whatever reason that. It goes from 3 million tons and doesn't get anything because something untoward happens. Well, then maybe sell because they're not. It's not becoming a mine, and that's really what they wanted to do. So that it's hard to forecast that future, but I think they'll be supportive. They've told us they'll be supportive. They're happy to help on the work program, and they're treating it as a real partner. So I'm anticipating that. And then the Golden Ivan guy, he was an investor in the last round. He put another 100,000 in cash. So he's a believer in in what's happening there. So I don't think we're going to see huge blocks of insider selling. Because there's a lot of value creation activities that are likely to create material value from here, and they'll want to get to there. That's the practical advice.
Okay. So on the Nisk question, you're going to do a bunch of drilling, $4 million, for now is planned. If you like the results of the drilling, you would be looking to update the resource estimate this year?
That would be the plan, yeah.
And then maybe a PEA in 2022?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think you mentioned it earlier, Terry. You had done the raise, about 4 months ago for $3 million at 10 cents. That is now, I believe, as of today, free trading. Any plan on how you're going to soak up some of the shares that might come loose? Do you have guys?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we're starting to. I mean, I would say the last 2 or 3 weeks we've been, because people jump at the queue on these things. We've been eating some paper, and we've eaten through some of it. And although I think there obviously was paper that came out, and that's just normal. We've got a number of other investors that we're reaching out to now, and we that will, I think, come in and mop this up. I've got a fairly major U.S. roadshow happening the week of the 9th and 10th. So I think it's a story that'll, now that we've got the resource side of it in play and it's all out, I think you'll start to see this thing clean up nicely, and then we'll do the financing.
Okay. Well, and I guess for anyone watching, if they like what they hear today, these when the private placements come free trading, it does sort of provide that temporary imbalance in supply and demand that can sometimes be.
It's certainly a buying opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, hey, Terry, appreciate you coming on the show. It's good to have you on again. Interesting times at Chilean Metals. Obviously, you've got a few different targets here. I guess maybe one last question. It's often tough for a company when you have multiple assets. The market is usually unkind and doesn't like to give you, more value than, they pick whatever asset they like the best and sort of assign zero value to the other one. If things are going well at one of the properties, would you look to hold on to the other properties?
Yeah, so I think we've talked about that internally, and I think what we'd do is we would, probably, Nisk would either be, I think would be spun out into a separate entity because it's a battery metal project. The rest of it sort of hangs together as gold copper because that's sort of what we're in, whether it's Chile or BC. So I think at the end, very likely those things get split up into two, and so that the battery metal player investors are pursuing a pure battery metal project, and the other ones but we probably wouldn't do that until we got confirmation on the drilling that you got it from 3 million to 6 or 7 or whatever, and it's like this thing's happening. Can now do it. So that would be but that's definitely something we discussed, and I've had that conversation with the institutional investors who asked us that question. I said 1,000%, guys, we would split this up and have a dedicated battery metal project, and then the gold copper exploration place, and that would be the coherent way to do it.
Okay. Well, I hope the drilling goes well. March will be here before you know it. So the drills at Nisk will be turning, in a blink of an eye, really. So
yeah,
hopefully that goes well.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, always welcome back on the show once you have some results.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll look forward to getting caught back up, in late spring and updating everyone. And in the interim, if people have questions, like we're very reachable, you can email me at terry@chileanmetals.com. Reach out and we can certainly answer any questions you may have, and we're fairly proactive with our small shareholder base and trying to keep them informed, and we tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we do keep it transparent, and we're obviously bullish, but everyone needs to make their own investment decision.
Okay. Well, Terry, great to have you on. Until then, you stay well, stay safe, and we'll chat in the not too distant future.
Cheers. Thanks again, John. Cheers.
Okay.